What are the things that make up a great adventure? What are the aspects of a real adventure? Answering these questions is something that I think Made in Abyss has done beautifully throughout its run this summer. Of course, there's no doubt already that most of the people that have watched this already fell in love with the show because of its amazingly mysterious and intricate setting. But for this video, I'd like to dive into the ways Made in Abyss tried to define an adventure and why it's one of the main reasons I became so enamored by this show. For starters, I'd like to dive into the definition of the word adventure. It's an unusual and exciting, typically hazardous experience or activity. The genre for adventure itself in anime is quite large because of the creative freedom one has when writing fiction. There isn't really any limitations an artist can have when creating a world for the story of their choice. It's typically in shonen nowadays that you will see different and varying stories about a character's adventure. A few big examples I can name right now would be One Piece, Naruto, and Sword Art Online. The reason I bring up the fact that there are more anime like this that are supposed to be in adventures is because I believe the way Made in Abyss handles Rico and Reg's ship into the Abyss provides a new light to see the genre through. More gruesome, hazardous, and truthful light, so to speak. This danger that the two protagonists of Made in Abyss have faced throughout their journeys reminded me that this is what a true adventure story should be like. For one, a true adventure story should have those wow moments. Astonishing times like when Reg first busted out his incinerator to save Rico from those giant birds in episode 5. This was a power we saw him use from afar in the first episode, but since it was the first time for me seeing it as a viewer up close, I was surprised by how powerful it really was. Simply looking at the damage caused to the huge pillars of wood around the area had me in awe, just as Reg was after seeing how monstrous he really was.
何なんだ僕は一体何なんだ
Instances in which you were just as surprised as I was is only one of the many things Made in Abyss does to add to its adventure story. There's also the truly menacing and scary times that add to my intrigue when happening. In episode 7, when the White Whistle Olsen told Rico that she was a stillborn that was essentially now a walking corpse waiting to die, comparable to a slab of meat that started moving when put in the same curse-repelling vessel that brought her back to life, I was truly creeped out. There were two main contributors to that feeling I had in that moment. First, it was learning the weird way Rico came to be. Second, it was seeing the way Olsen handled telling her that. The manner in which she relayed this world-shattering information to Rico just wasn't that of a normal person. Instead, it felt more like I was in the presence of true evil when hearing Olsen's explanation. Only for Olsen to then follow with a new goal of destroying Reg, adding even more to the uncomfortable feeling I had. In that single time frame, we had a distraught 12-year-old girl, and a robot kid getting the absolute shit beat out of him by a menacingly strong woman. The new information presented that made my skin crawl, and the real sense of danger, both adding to the stakes at hand in that one episode. Why I find this horror element Made in Abyss adds to a story to be so interesting is because it reminds me of how bad things can get down there in the Abyss. Even at moments when you think you're safe, you're really not. Even something as simple as a few sentences coming out of someone's mouth can have negative impacts on your mind and tear you apart from the inside. Our two main characters don't get special treatment just because they're the main focus of the story. No. Instead, we get to actually see firsthand at the expense of these two kids just how hard it is to really travel down this giant and mysterious hole, making the emotional payoff you get from it all the more impactful.
リコは
One of the more unique elements Made in Abyss's story is presented as the light shined on the tough decisions our characters have to make throughout their journey, emphasizing the possible or unavoidable repercussions of the choices they make each time the protagonists see themselves faced with a new challenge. The most notable of these being in episode 10 when Reg had to choose the only option that got him and the injured Rico away from the imminent threat they were facing. With Rico being poisoned by a new powerful enemy and needing quick medical attention, Reg was faced with a cruel decision. Either stay there and die along with Rico to the monster, or sent to a higher location which would hurt Rico even further because of the curse of the Abyss and maybe survive. Not letting Rico die was of utmost importance, therefore doing something that would cause her pain was the ultimate move Reg had to make. What happens after this shows even further why this was such a hard decision for him to make.
じゃああとは止血してそうそうだよレグ最初だよ毒抜けたら止血
This one aspect alone is what I think to be the most important out of all so far in creating this great sense of adventure because of how it reinforces the fact that anything can happen. Making quick decisions on the fly is really the true essence of what it means to go on and explore unknown territories such as the Abyss. These situations that require hard thinking and difficult choice making work all too well in creating the true feeling that Rico and Reg are on this epic adventure together. Highly intense, chock full of mysterious and scary situations that are filled to the brim with dangerous moments that astonish you, is what I believe to have made this adventure story so enticing when watching Made in Abyss. It's not that I like edgy things and seeing stuff that keep me at the edge of my seat, but that the combination of all these parts make everything feel more real in a way. I mean, where else can you find an anime adventure story that genuinely encapsulates the consequences of making a dumb decision? I'm looking at you, Riko. This whole entire time, Riko knew what awaited her the deeper she went into the abyss, yet she still went. Hence why these awful things happened to her so far in the series. Interestingly enough, even after Riko went through all these bad things, she still charged forward. She still continued moving despite all these faults she was running into, bringing me now to Made in Abyss's view on what a true adventurer is.
準備はいい？もちろんだ。
An adventurer is a person who enjoys or seeks adventure. At least that's what popped up when I looked it up on Google. If you look at it from those terms and try to compare it to the characters in Made in Abyss, you'd instantly see that Riko fits this description perfectly. Even though there are dangerous things around Riko constantly, she's always excited. Whether it stems from seeing a new lair she reaches, or finding a cool new relic, Riko isn't once phased long term by all the harmful things that came her way while on the move. But is this really just it? Is that all that defines a true adventurer? No, not by a long shot. If there's one thing that all the characters have taught me about being an adventurer, it's that it requires determination, wits, strength, and most importantly, they need to show fortitude in every situation. The 3 times Riko and Rei got to say goodbye to the people they cared about as they left on the journey was a result of the immense determination they had towards completing their goal. All of those times Rei got to figure out ways to get out of the peril they were in were showings of his wits. The reason Ozen embedded all those relics in her arm was because she needed the strength they gave her in order to survive the further she went into the layers of the unknown hole. And the example that gave me the idea for this video was when Ozen remembered something a young Liza told her. She said that it was really cool that Ozen had those scars on her, stating that those scars were cool because it was proof of Ozen's fortitude in continuing to challenge the netherworld, even as it tried to break her mind. This one scene showed me what this anime was really about. It's not about the abyss and how interesting and alluring it is. It's about the characters and what they display in front of this challenge that the abyss presents. Or in other words, it's about what humans are truly made of. How much suffering can they endure? How far are people willing to push themselves? Something that I myself have always found admirable in a person was the courage and confidence they had when facing new obstacles. Mostly because it was an attribute I lacked, especially when it came to this channel. I want to upload more, but I keep getting frightened at the fact that what I'm putting out isn't good enough. So seeing a story that focuses on a protagonist as well as Riko and Shura go against the things that are in her path gave me the little strength I needed to try and push myself to write this now. All in all, being able to witness these parts come together that make up such courageous and free-spirited people, and the real aspects that make up an adventure is the entirety of what made this story so captivating for me. I don't know what this brutal journey will lead our 2 main characters, but I hope it's one that leaves them with a fulfilling feeling. One worth this final adventure.